Hi guys, today I'm going to walk you through how to paint this viola. So here's my point of reference, and I didn't ever finish this, but I wanted to try it again today. So first we're just going to sketch it. So we're using my favourite graphite aquarelle, so a watercolor lead pencil. It's by Faber-Castell and you can get them at Jackson's Art. So we just start with a sort of a square in the middle. It's not really a circle, it's more of a rounded corners square. And then we're going to start with the 2 petals on each side. So now we go back in and we're doing the top petal. And then we do the side petal, the sort of back, the underneath side petal, and then we'll do the bottom petals. And you can see how lightly I am sketching here. So this, even if we do really pale washes, this pretty much will get lost in those pale washes. And you can see, I'm just holding it very gently and easily, and doing it all quite lightly. So if you have trouble holding the pencil, you can get those pencil holders from Walmart. That will help you kind of to know where to hold the pencil so it doesn't hurt. I know sometimes in long writing or drawing sessions, if you're holding it too tightly, it can start to cramp up your hand. So the next thing I do, I just grab my little trusty bit of paper towel. So I use this to wash off, wipe off water all the time if I don't want water on my brush, if I want it more dry. And then we're just going to start with a really pale wash of lilac. So this is a Holbein colour, but you can get a similar colour from a violet, just a purple watercolour and with white, because I think this is basically a purple mixed with white. You can see here if I think it's too dry and it's going to dry too quickly before I add in any colours or do anything to it, I add in a bit more water, and then I can also pull off some of the colour and lift some colour as well. So you can see here that I'm using a bit of sugilite. So in the first instance, I like to use sugilite on the corners to kind of deepen up those shadows and to start to create that kind of dusky mood that we're looking for here. So you can see as well how little watercolour I'm applying. I know a lot of people say put it on, it's going to dry lighter, but I always like to be more cautious, and I put it on lighter. And you can see that even where I put the sugilite, I did not put very much. So while we're waiting for the top petal to dry, we don't want to do the petals next to it, or all our work will be lost, it'll bleed into each other. So we go to the opposite side of the flower, and we are now working with French ochre, and we're going to start this petal. you can see I'm adding in a bit more of this purple mixture, and this is where it starts to create more moodiness because the browns and the purples start to mix and it becomes a really nice colour. So then I go back and I deepen up the French ochre. You can see just tiny bits around the edges is where I'm looking for, just to create a little bit of atmosphere and a little bit of shading. So I'm always checking if what's dry and where I can paint next. So we go to the outer petal now, and we are working with sugilite. So I'm going to make this a bit darker, this petal. So you can see what I'm doing as well. I always like to have a break while it's drying, just in case I want to come back sort of fresh and try and figure out, is there something I want to change? And it just might be just a 2 or 3 minute break, or 5 minutes. Okay, so we're now starting with pyrrol orange, and you can see how watered out of a version this is. It becomes a beautiful peach colour. So I'll show you in a minute how vibrant. I mean, you can see it in the pan there, but I'll show you a swatch of it as well. And then we're also using sugilite in with the peach. It becomes a really pretty colour. So you can see this is full strength for the colour, and then we wash it out. And we can keep washing it out and keep washing it out until we get the perfect tone that we want. You can see I'm constantly sort of readjusting the values as well, pulling out colour, putting in more colour, and I actually think by the time we finish the shadows I could have even pulled out a few more highlights at this stage. So on the top petal, on that petal I was just working with, probably pulled out a little bit more white. So you can see there I just mixed up some sugilite, some moonstone, Daniel Smith moonstone, and was there something else in the mix? Maybe amethyst or something. Just might be just sugilite and moonstone at the minute. And so I'm just putting in basically a larger line in the center and then some smaller lines on the side. Okay, so now I'm going to keep working around the shadows until I feel like it's finished. And again, I'm doing small, amounts of paint. So I'm not putting on any drastic amount of paint here. So I start with the French ochre, and then I grab some Sedona and I mix those together and start working in that sort of bottom shadow there. And again, putting on some paint, evaluating it, wiping my brush off, and then wiping the paint off. And so for the shadow underneath, we are also going to do the sugilite and moonstone. So I keep using similar shadow colours, and I will also add in some French ochre to this shadow, I think, and then I might add in some Sedona as well at some stage. So I keep using similar shadow colours and readjusting them for the petals. So we're basically just using the lilac, sugilite, French ochre and Sedona, and then we start adding in also some indigo, and we use the pyrrol orange. So at this stage again, I've waited for everything to dry, and then I'm going back and getting the indigo and amethyst. I'm mixing that up, indigo and sugilite. I'm mixing that up and then going back around some of these shadows. You can see I've switched to a different brush here. So this is just from a pack off Amazon. It's not really a brand name, and I sent my number 2 Escoda Reserva to a friend, and I just haven't replaced it, so that's what I usually used for detail work. So this is a similar size. It's just something that you want with a really fine point that doesn't let out a lot of water onto your painting. I did turn the camera off and I have finished it, and I will go back and show you what I did to finish it off, but I get to some point in the painting and I'm just not sure if it's gonna finish or if, you know, so I have to kind of just put the camera down and keep working on it, or sometimes I might not be able to finish it on camera. Another mix that I wanted to show you here that I discovered sort of while doing this is the Sedona and Lilac. So beautiful mix color. You can basically mix this up with like a burnt sienna, violet and a white, or just burnt sienna and violet. And I mix it a couple of different times with a bit more of the Sedona or a bit more of the Lilac. It's so beautiful. So you can see here the inspiration and then the finished product. The one thing that I did add that I didn't show as well is the Phantom Fire from Rivervale on the petals there. So where the pyrrol orange was, I put a little bit of that for highlights as well. And then I think we're going to go in and I will just show you, basically I just kept doing the same thing, just adding, you know, tiny bits of color, deepening those shadows, trying not to get them too dark and too deep, but I still wanted to bring the flower to life. And so you can see here the one on the right was my first try, the one on the left was my second try, and the one we just did is my third try, and they're probably all about a year apart actually. So you know, from that first one it took me a while to figure out how to do the really pale washes. And then from this one, I can see actually I could have left some more, even more pale parts. I could have left it out in the beginning to give it just a tiny bit more contrast. I'm just showing you here, I got my small brush, I mixed up amethyst and indigo, and then I just kept going around the edges here. And I did a little tiny bit of paint, and then again I would rinse my brush or wipe my brush and then go back in and sort of wipe off the excess or smooth out the excess paint to soften it into the painting. So that is our flower for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I think I'm just going to show you some snippets of another floral tutorial that I've done as well. So there's quite a few of these kind of transparent floral and floral tutorials that you can look at now, and there should be tips in, you know, all of them that will help enhance your painting. Even in doing these and practicing them, I kind of still feel like I haven't even scratched the surface. Like there's so many different shapes and colors, and so here was my first tutorial that I did on the transparent florals, and I did a little pansy there, a little viola, and I didn't really like it at the time, but I do quite like it now. And you can see the difference, like in this one we just did to that little one. And I think I'm also going to show you the you can see the color palette's still pretty similar. So, and I'm just showing you there, you can, and here's the ranunculus as well, so I really liked this one. But you can get a similar sort of finished product, even just from the round petals. You could see on the other page there were some with really big, large, round petals that were really beautiful as well. So, you know, you don't have to start hard, just start with a few different colors and a few different easy shapes, just layering them up. Okay guys, I will see you next time. Bye.